Now who's being melodramatic?
Morning, team.
Hi, this is the Professional Amateur Hour coming to you with another review. This week, Leo sent me Dome House 6. And this 2023 film was directed by Stephen Osborne and stars Madyn, Jordan Abbey-Young, and Perm Chrism, among others, of course. The story of this film is that the climate disaster has gotten so bad that you can't really kind of go outside. The atmosphere is just toxic to humans. There's just dust and debris flying everywhere. And so it turns out at the end of the world, a few rich people go into kind of self-contained dome houses with a lifetime supply of food. And so our whole movie takes place in one of these houses, and it's a guy who owns the house, and it seems like he's taken in this scavenger who's a woman, and they kind of have this pseudo relationship, like, you know, he provides her with the house, and, you know, she provides him with something else. And then she kind of wants to get out, but can't really because the atmosphere is just so toxic. So it turns out what she does is she lets somebody in. So now they have a third person inside the house, and it's all about kind of their dynamic, and the guy who owns the house wants the other guy out, and all this different type of stuff going on. What will happen though? Will they be able to survive together, or are they going to, you know, have to battle it out? Well, for that, you gotta watch the movie and find out. All right, so let's discuss this movie. Well, with this one, it's like an isolation story, and because they're all just locked inside this house, or I shouldn't say locked, but, you know, trapped inside this house. And it works for what it is. I thought kind of their dynamics was really interesting. It mostly plays out the way that you expect it, with the guy owning the house and the girl doing him favors, and that's exactly what you think it means. And then the other guy comes in, and of course, you know, there's two guys in there, so now they got a battle to see who's the alpha one or whatever. And all of that's kind of really interesting. Then when it does go into like the third act, everything kind of really changes, and I didn't expect that, which is good. I really did expect everything in the first two acts, but that third act was actually subversive. It did make me kind of think about the whole thing and how it all kind of works out. And then the ending as well, you won't believe how it ends. Like, you never see that coming from, you know, the first 2/3. So it really does work as an isolation style film. I know that's probably not everyone's cup of tea, especially since it's just so character driven, and the characters have to talk to each other, and you get to understand their relationship and their own dynamics, and the whole kind of hinting at what the world is like is interesting as well. So there are certainly elements in this one that you can go along with and certainly enjoy it. And that brings me to what doesn't really work with this film. Well, the pacing is just terribly slow. Like, everything is just kind of drawn out, and just nothing too exciting ever happens, and they're just mostly just talking with each other and getting to know each other, and, you know, learning their dynamics and whatever. It's just a slow-paced movie, and so you can go along with it. It's interesting to see all of the different aspects of this world and how they all kind of fit together. You just have to like sit there and watch it, and it's not like any highs or lows. It's all just kind of like the same level of enjoyment throughout the whole thing. And so that, I think, is an issue for a lot of people. A lot of people will watch it and just like probably turn it off by that halfway mark because it's just slow. That's all I can really tell you about the pacing. And I did say I really enjoyed the third act because how different it was, but the first two acts, like the first, you know, 2/3 of the movie, are terribly predictable. Like the whole way through, like once you see their relationship, you're like, oh, this is how that works, that's how this works, this is what's going on. Once the guy enters, you're like, okay, now these two guys are going to fight, and this girl is going to say that or whatever. So it's terribly predictable until that third act, and everything kind of goes out the window. But, you know, watching those first two acts, like it's again, like just kind of slow paced that way as well, especially when you can predict everything. So it doesn't kind of jive with a lot of audiences, I would think. But, you know, those who do stick through it, I think will be rewarded with that third act. You just, you know, have to get there. Other than that, with this one, they don't have like a front yard or anything like that, even though it's a dome, right? You should cover the whole house. plus a little bit because it's a little bit bigger than the house, unless it's like the dome, or the house is shaped like a dome, but that's not how it's like presented. And you can even see like outside the windows a little bit, and it's just like a little forested area, so it kind of seems like it's bigger than it should be. I don't know if that's like a visual projection within the windows or something. It doesn't seem like that's quite the way it does. They do have some visual windows or walls or something, but it does seem like they should have the ability to at least go, 10 feet outside with inside the dome. And so that's something I would have changed just for some variety in locations. Like it's never there, as you're just in like the living room, the kitchen, or the bedroom, and that's it. Those are their 3 locations. So I would have liked to have seen a little bit more, just to have some, more variety, and I think that would have helped it a bit. As for my recommendation, well, if you do enjoy slower movies, this is pretty good. It's interesting. It turns out to be fun in the end, so if you don't mind that slower pace, then yeah, check this one out, especially if you're like a sci-fi fan. It has that kind of science fiction element with like the house, and I think there's like an AI in the house or something as well. And so it all kind of works together to be kind of a slower paced movie. So if you, I don't know, have low energy one day and you just want to watch people do stuff at a slower pace, then this is going to be a good movie for you. So if that sounds like you, then yeah, press play on this one. As for a rating, well, I'm going to give it the average score of 5. And with that being said, I think that's all I wanted to say. So like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.